Okay, let's go ahead and put the seat kit on this Honda A.C.E. This is really a simple procedure, so follow along and I'll show you how to do it. Okay, this is your seat pan, and I've already installed one spring. So the way you do it is really simple. You just grab your spring and grab an Allen wrench. What you do is you just run your Allen wrench through the top of the spring is what it is, the top of the spring like that. I don't run it all the way through, just part way like that. And then I run the this button head screw that's included in the seat pan there. Go ahead and run that down and just set it on top of the screw like that, or the Allen wrench like that. And lower that down. See if I can do it while I'm filming it here. And go ahead and slide the washer in. And then you just slide that through the spring. There you have it. The washer is down inside. And then we can go ahead and install that on in the pan. And there I've installed both springs. If you'll notice, the nylock nuts are on the bottom. Use the nylock nuts included, that way the springs will never work loose and come out. And then, okay, now you can only mount them one way, so the loops need to be going this way, toward the front of the seat pan like that. And then there's only one way that the spring will fit in there, and so the big part of the spring is on the back and the small part is on the front. Otherwise, if it was rotated all the way around, this fat part would hit this little shelf. So go ahead and mount it just like that. You should have a gap in there. You can snug those up pretty good. You don't need to get ridiculous. You can actually, this one I can actually turn a little bit after it's tight. So anyway, go ahead and snug those up, and then we'll put this front piece on, and then this will be ready to mount to the bike. Okay, go ahead and put this front piece on the pan here. I use the nylock nuts on the bottom, and just go ahead and assemble that, tighten that up. We can slam this on the bike. Okay, go ahead and grab this nut bar, we call it. It's a flat plate of steel that has the nuts welded on the bottom. And then I'm going to go ahead and put silicone sealant on the bottom of that. Just run strips of it down the length of it there. Don't get too much right next to the screws maybe. And then we're going to go ahead and put that on the bottom of the, underneath that bridge there. So this goes to underneath the bridge here like this, with the nuts toward the back this way. And then we're going to go ahead and screw that in there like that. And then we're going to go ahead and put the seat pan on, and then that'll dry while we work on the rest of the seat. With these screws still sticking up, what we want to do is just go ahead and slide the seat pan on like this. I'll put this tab under the piece right there. Then just slide that on there. You put the big holes over the bolts and then slide it up on there. It'll either hit on this side or this side, but what we're going to do is just slide it up as far forward as we can, and then we'll go ahead and snug these bolts up while we're pushing forward. So go ahead and just snug those up. They don't need to be super tight, just snug. The idea of this is we can take this off any time later, and the nut bar will stay underneath, and it makes it really cool because you can take the seat on and off the bike, and it'll leave all the electronics and everything in there just by loosening these two screws. Okay, I'm snugging those up. You can actually feel that. Go ahead and turn them until they get, pretty tight there. You'll feel them bottom out good. The nice thing about that, you'll leave a mark on the powder coat, which is nice, because next time if you ever take your seat on and off, you'll see exactly where it was. And then make sure that it, right in this area right here, where it goes down behind this brace, make sure it's either hitting this side or really close on this side. You want that as close as possible so that you know the seat pan is as far forward as it can go. Let's go ahead and mount the seat now. If you'll notice, this bracket on the front, on the bottom of the seat is slotted. It has these slots. This can move forward and backwards, and I'll show you how that works, because you want to position that about to where it feels the best, because if you change the position, the seat will actually go up and down in the front. So anyway, let's go ahead and install this, and I'll show you how that works. Okay, go ahead and set your seat on the springs. The way it works is the tabs coming down from the seat go on the outside of the springs. And then so you've got the button head screw on the outside, and then the nut and washer on the inside of the spring. And you can see it over here. It's the washer and the nut are on the inside of the spring. Now go ahead and put those on, but leave those just a little bit loose for now, because we're going to adjust this seat. So do that, and then we'll show you how to do the front. Okay, now go ahead and put the two bolts in the front here. The flange on the seat goes on the inside, and then the bracket is on the outside. And then put the bolts in both sides. And then go ahead and sit on the bike, and see how it feels. You can adjust this seat back and forth. It can go back and forth a fair amount. See, it'll move, and the springs will tilt. And then if you need to adjust it, just go ahead and loosen these and move the bracket either way. The further the seat is back, the lower the front will be. So anyway, go ahead and do that. And then once you get it positioned to where you want it, what I want you to do is I want you to be sure and back these screws off just a little bit. This has to be a little bit loose here so it can pivot. It has to be able to pivot there. And then when you get that all done, just like I say, back those off a little bit. Put a little oil on both sides. That way it can pivot. And then after you get all that finished up, then go ahead and snug these up. And then your seat is on. And it looks cool. Okay, next we want to put these little covers on the bike. Now this is an unpainted one, so yours will be black. This is a little easy for you to see. So anyway, these are going to insert behind this big nut right here. Now one thing you can do if you can't get a wrench into this nut because it's too close to the shock here, you can go ahead and loosen this bolt, back that out as far as you want, and then you can go ahead and put a screwdriver in there and pry that. You can pry that shock away from that bolt there. That way you can get a wrench in on that big nut there. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and put that in there like that, and then I'll show you how to tighten this up. Okay, go ahead and leave these two screws in there because this screw actually acts as an anti-rotation screw, so it won't rotate up later. So go ahead and what I want you to do is push this way and down, this back and down, as you tighten this nut up. So just go ahead and tighten that. It makes kind of a funny sound because what you're doing is you're actually turning the steel inside this bushing. So go ahead and just snug that up really good and make sure you're pushing down on this bracket and forward. Snug that up really good. And then go ahead and tighten this back up. And make sure that it's down against the frame right here as you tighten that up. That should work. We'll go do the other side. Oh, and if for some reason this screw seems to hit the frame behind there, we may have inserted these screws wrong. This should have the short 1/2 inch screw, and this should be the 5/8 long screw. So make sure the short screw's in the front. Okay, it's the same thing on this side. You'll just run this big nut in on that bracket. Make sure there again, that's pushed in all the way and down. And then we're going to snug that one up. Now don't get too carried away with the torque on this because just snug that up. Because there's not a whole lot of threads under that, on this big fine threaded bolt thing there. So don't get too carried away on that. Just snug that up nice and there you have it. Now I'm going to go ahead and show you how to put the signal light brackets on this bike. Now if you're going to use the signal light brackets that we sell, this is what it looks like. Then what I want you to do is I want you to switch these screws like this. You're going to take this one over here and this one over here. I'll show you how that works. And there it's mounted on the bike. Again, we use the short screw here and the long screw here. That way this screw acts as an anti-rotation pin again, and this won't ever rotate up that way. Do the same on the other side, and then you're ready to mount your signal lights. And now if you're going to use the tail light bracket, let me show you how that works. Okay, let's show you how to mount this license tail light bracket to your bike. And now you're going to use these two screws right here. They come with the bracket. They have the nuts on the back. You won't use these, but we just put those on there so you'll remind you to use those screws. I'll show you how this mounts on the bike. Okay, go ahead and screw the license bracket to the cover bracket that you did before, and leave these screws backed out like this a ways. Then you can go ahead and slide that in there like that. And then I'm going to show you how to tighten this up. It's real critical that we tighten this up properly. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and just tighten this up finger tight first. See how that swivels like that? Go ahead and just tighten that up finger tight. What we want to do is we want it to go down as much as possible. In and down. So just finger tight there, and then go ahead and just tighten this up just lightly until you feel that where it won't rotate. See, that won't rotate anymore. Now I'm going to go ahead and tighten this up, and then I'll come back and just run these two screws in nice and tight. Not too tight there because you don't want to get too carried away, but just snug that one up, tighten that one up, and then go ahead and tighten that up. That should hold that bracket on there nice and tight. Okay, and when you get finished, this one will be out just a little bit, but don't worry about that. This one should be tight, and then this one will be out a little bit, just pushing on this frame down behind there. That'll kind of hold it tight, so because you don't want that thing to rotate loose and come off. So there you have it. I think the seat kit is finished. Looks good. Okay, the real cool feature about this seat is you can go ahead and just loosen these 2 screws under the seat pan here. You'll have to back them off a little bit further than you think, and then you can go ahead and lift this whole seat off without disturbing anything else underneath. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to back these off, and I'm going to put a little oil on the threads on these, just so when I take the seat on and off, it comes on and off a little easier. So there you have it. Then you can just go ahead and stick your seat back on, and it's ready to go. Let's go on to the next part of this bobber. Okay, one last little note too before we go on to another project here is make sure you push forward on your seat as you tighten those screws down there. Make sure you are pushing forward. You want that seat as far forward as you can get it. And then double check this nut right here on the shock. Make sure you snug that up. And then it wouldn't hurt to go around and just double check everything else just to make sure you didn't forget something. And then there again, make sure you leave that these front ones just a little bit loose. Put a little oil on that. It's got a swivel there. Okay, we'll go on to the next kits.